we have our meeting with a permanent secretary of the Directorate General of European Programs, Coordination and Development, Mr. Theodosis Tsiolas. And first of all, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation for this interview.
Thank you very much for the invitation to be here with you this afternoon.
This Directorate General, it's like French one, but in English should be Directorate General, something like. How do you pronounce the name of the organization?
It's Directorate General for European Programs, Coordination and Development.
All right. What are the activities of this organization? And I can guess that somehow you have EU funds that should be fair distributed somewhere in Cyprus, correct?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Our Directorate General is the second directorate of the Ministry of Finance, actually. Our mission is to promote economic growth through strategic planning, coordination and monitoring of the implementation of the government policy, and to safeguard the optimal use of the available European funds. If I may add, is that we are responsible for receiving and coordinating with the EU the recommendations from the EU as regards structural and other reforms which have to go through the Parliament. We also prepare the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. That's the new plan of the EU, which is responsible for providing for each EU member state in terms of reforms and funding, in terms of about 5 to 6 years, a better resilience and more strong economy. We are also responsible for the structural and investment funds of the EU. Furthermore, we are responsible for the Erasmus Plus, the European Solidarity Body that is handling these funds. And also, we are responsible for monitoring the projects publicly announced by the by the President of the Republic of Cyprus. So we do have a lot of things to do, actually.
Yes, that's obvious. Let's put them one by one. Let's start with European structural and investment funds.
Okay.
So do you work with the government only or with private companies and individuals as well?
Well, as regards the Directorate General, which I'm heading, we do base and hand in the funding to mostly government departments and ministries. The aim here is to prepare a solid program with grants and other projects which are to be submitted once every 7 years to the European Commission for approval. And the aim of this work, the allocation of the European Structural and Investment Fund, is to prepare a tangible plan which will help promote social inclusion, gender equality, non-discrimination, as well as growth and resilience of the economy. The aim here is to provide the funding to the ministries so that they implement the grant schemes and the projects.
If I understood correct, yes. First, you send suggestions and they are approved. And when you get money, you already know what is approved, what is not. So you distribute this money accordingly.
That's exactly. I'm a bit more bureaucrat than you, so I speak the bureaucratic language, but you made it more simple for everybody
I
to
will simplify for
understand.
you because
Yes.
we need our listeners, those who will watch us,
Yes.
and our readers to understand what exactly you do. There are some programs that are addressed only to the government, but there are such programs like Erasmus that might
Yes.
be addressed also to educational institutions while they are not governmental, correct? To private
Of course.
institutions as well. Could you tell a little bit more? How do people, private people, how do institutions can participate? How can they participate in the Erasmus program?
Okay. We monitor and supervise the two designated authorities in Cyprus as regards the Erasmus Plus programs. The ultimate goal is for these two authorities to fully absorb the available funding and to create the positive impact of the Erasmus Plus on the Cyprus society and the economy. We have, as I said before, two national agencies, which are the Foundation for the Management of the European Lifelong Learning Programs. That is for sectors of school education, adult education, higher education, and vocational education and training. And we also have the Youth Board of Cyprus for the sector of the youth. These two national agencies maintain very close cooperation between them, including the organization of joint information and other events of a common interest. They have a common website which is updated every now and then, and they use this funding to address private universities, government, public universities, and also to give this funding to the young people, to group of youngsters to travel to Europe with specific programs. So all this funding goes straight to the universities, to youngsters, in order that these people meet other youngsters from Europe to enhance their knowledge for Europe. And I can say that the EU Council has decided to triple the money for the new period from 2021 to 2027. It has had to triple the money available for countries, for EU members, in order to help more people to get this experience.
All Erasmus idea is about exchange. So
Yes.
if there are students in our Cypriot universities, and then for half a year or 3 months, they can go and study in any other universities, while we accept students maybe from the third country. I mean, if they go to France, our students can be from Spain.
Yes.
Yes, so it's not necessarily bilateral. It's like a multi-country experience.
Yes. Yes, and I think all people from that are studying in the Cypriot universities can benefit from this program, irrespective of nationality. So it's a very good incentive for people from Russia to come to a Cypriot university here, and they can have this very big benefit, subsidy, to spend half of their term or full term in another EU country, in another EU university. It's very valuable experience.
Yes, it's very valuable experience, and it's good. You're absolutely right. It's good for exchange of opinions and exchange of experience among the young people, among students. Does Erasmus work for adults?
Not in such not in such big depth. There are only specific activities.
For example, for PhD students, if they're
Yes.
30 years old, 35 years old? Can they?
Of course, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So as far as they are studying, they can exchange. Good. Now I want to come, we decided one by one. So my second question regarding one by one things is recovery and resilience plan. In which areas and which sectors, the money are distributed, and how do you select the projects for this plan? How do you see the major challenges you have in implementation of this idea and this plan itself?
The Recovery Resilience Fund was made up by the EU leaders in last summer, and it's the answer to the EU to the big problem and the consequences of the pandemic, of the COVID pandemic. The aim of these plans throughout the EU countries is to promote the resilience and the recovery of the economy, to make the recovery earlier, to make the growth easier, and also to have a stronger economy for each country, member state of the EU. For us, for Cyprus, we have been given 1.2 billion from the EU. 1 billion is grants, and the other 200 million euro is very favorable loan. And our aim here is to promote and implement projects as well as reforms in the next 5 to 6 years, because the plan finishes in August 2026, in the areas of public health, civil protection, and lessons learned from the pandemic. I'm just pointing out the 5 policy axes now of the plan. The accelerated transition to a green economy, the strengthening of the resilience and the competitiveness of the economy. We have the digital era axis, the labor market, social protection, education, and human capital.
It's again, as you explained to me before, is distributed to ministries that are responsible for implementation, correct?
Yes, yes. These are given to ministries as well as to some local authorities in order to implement these projects. But the main challenge here is that this funding comes with the promise of the Cypriot government, as well to the promise of the other EU member states governments, that they will combine the implementation of these projects by the implementation also of reforms. Mm-hmm. And these are the challenge here, because we have, and I'll give you some examples of some difficult reforms that we have to go through the parliament. Public administration reform, local government administration reform, reform of the courts, teachers' evaluation system, access to finance, easier access to finance, addresses the skill mismatch and the management of non-performing loans. All these reforms are vital for the country, because it will change completely how business is done, how the public administration serve individuals and enterprises, and will give weight in building a robust economy for the future after 2026.
I fully agree with you, but I also know the speed with what in our country we have accepted before any laws and regulations. What will happen if our parliament will be too slow? They are not going to give part of the fund. You said that some of them are grants and some of them are loans. So they will give like it was with Troika, piece by piece, according to the result? Will they?
You are very well informed. It's like every 6 months, it's going to be a review on if we have kept our promises, these promises are written down already and communicated to the EU. And in order for money to be reimbursed to us, both the agreed milestones of implementing projects and reforms through the Parliament both have to be completed on time. And I'll give you some examples that have to go of legislation that have to be voted by the Cypriot Parliament by December 2021, a few months ahead. These include public administration reform, a reform of the courts and of the procedures before the court, and also a reform that has to do with
local administration.
Local administration.
Yes, to reduce number of municipalities and municipal councils. But that's quite difficult because this is controversial. Not everyone agrees. But I think the most difficult will be public sector. There are attempts, there were different attempts to do it before, and it was always ending up into negotiations with the professional union.
Well, the aim here is to proceed jointly with the trade unions and with the parliamentary parties. Already the president has met with the heads of the parliamentary parties about 15 days ago, and he has informed them once again about the plan, what the reforms have to go through, and asked them to help vote for these reforms in the parliament. But this is not that was not the first time that the political parties in Cyprus and the trade unions have been informed about this. There was a big public consultations which started in September 2020. The Minister of Finance himself met with the heads of the political parties, and we set up a committee, a technocratic committee made up from bureaucrats from the Ministry of Finance, from my directorate, and the representatives of the political parties, and we started consultation from January until May 2021, and we met also and consulted with trade unions and other and NGOs concerning the content of the plan. And we have included in the plan many of their suggestions, so that we have.
But did you find a compromise?
Well, everybody, what we try to do is find a compromise on the main issues. We had written comments from the political parties and from trade unions and from the other NGOs. Many of those suggestions have been incorporated to the plan, but the issue remains. Everybody agrees on these reforms, okay, but they disagree on some issues, on some provisions of the legislation.
Okay, so now we will start summer holidays, and then from September to December, that will be really tough.
Yes, hopefully after the summer holidays, we try and ask and inform the political parties of what has to go through in this bit, and hopefully we'll start also another round of consultation, and hopefully we try and do our best, because it's a shame to miss all these grants, especially grants, that will help the Cypriot economy grow.
And now when we speak about grants and funds, what are the funding opportunities for private business, for entrepreneurs, for example?
Well, as I said before, my directorate is responsible for the RR plan as well as for the ESIF funds, European Investment and structural funds. So all these two different funds have a lot of schemes that are going to be financed through these funds.
But still, private people or entrepreneurs, they're not going to go to you. They're going to the ministry.
That's what I was going to say. Many of these schemes, that we are going to fund them from these two funds, the plan and from the ESIF funds, are going to be managed by the Ministry of Commerce. And there we have a lot of schemes. I can go through them very quickly.
I would appreciate, but what I really appreciate is some contact details or some advice where people should go. I mean, where they find information about this, or maybe can they consult someone, at least over the phone, to understand what funds exist for their line of business.
Okay. We have a few, I'll tell you a few of the schemes, and then we go to what you have asked. We have a scheme for the enhancement of entrepreneurships, what you said before. Scheme for the enhancement of SMEs, competitiveness in the manufacturing sector and other specific economic activities. We have scheme for the digital upgrade of enterprises. We have scheme for promoting energy efficiency investments in SMEs, municipalities, communities, and the other wider public sector. We have a scheme especially for enterprises for the reduction of CO2 emissions in industry, businesses, and organizations. Also, we'll have a scheme about the installation of charging points in publicly accessible areas owned by businesses or local authorities. So again, businesses can take advantage of this scheme. All these, and there are many other schemes that enterprises can take into advantage, are mainly publicized by the Ministry of Energy and Commerce, and everybody can find information through their website, through the ministry's website. And also some schemes are going to be publicized and managed by the Ministry of Tourism, and and agriculture. So anyone can find information through through their websites. And I have noticed also that some of these schemes are publicized also either on TV or other social media. So
which does not work for foreigners. I don't mean only Russians. They don't speak Greek, and usually the information is published on the website in details in Greek, and in English is said, we distribute funds. That's it.
You are right. You are right on this. I'm not sure how they do it in the ministries, but I take point of what you said and ask them if we can publicize some documents at least in English.
At least information, the practical part, what I asked you. Is there any advisor that can help private business to understand what type of funds or which ministries they need to call, at least maybe in your organization there is someone who can consult via email, via telephone?
We can consult by email, which can be found in our website, in the Director General's website. But most of the information is found in very much detail in the website of the ministries, of the line ministries.
Okay. For the people who don't know your realities, to go ministry by ministry and then to the website of the ministry to try to locate where is this information, that's almost impossible.
You are right, but there are a lot of companies, consulting companies in Cyprus, which are specialized.
Most probably you need an intermediary company, those ones who will do something.
And also one of the schemes in the Ministry of Commerce actually includes giving funding for the entrepreneurs to buy consulting services for specialists.
Okay.
So
That's
I think at least you can start from somewhere.
All right. And continuing this subject, I would like to ask my last question.
Okay.
What would you want to say to the Russian-speaking community, business community? We're speaking now about funds and whatever, and in general, Russian-speaking citizens and residents of Cyprus.
Okay, good. First of all, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to pass to them that they are very much welcome in Cyprus. Cyprus is a place where people, irrespective of nationality and religion, can consider Cyprus as their place. They are, I think, they are. It's a lovely place to live and do business here. We do know that the COVID pandemic, has exacerbated the structural challenges of the Cyprus economy. But what we do try our best here to make the lives of them and the businesses that operate in Cyprus better. We have an enormous amount of money that will be heading and devoted to the economy from 2021 to 2027, about 4.4 billion euro. The aim here is to manage this big funding in order to provide a more sustainable, a prosperous environment for the people living and working in Cyprus. And I would like to ask our Russian-speaking friends and other people from other nationalities living in Cyprus to try and get as much of this funding, either for their students living in the families or for their businesses which are operating in Cyprus. And I do think that they will be in an equal position to benefit from this funding. We do consider that all people living and working in Cyprus should have the same opportunities to take advantage of all these big grant schemes. And for our students, they should be they should have the same opportunity to extend their experiences through the Erasmus program in another EU country. I do think that the cultural, political, and historical bonds that have linked Russia and Cyprus throughout the centuries, the strong economic ties between the two countries, and our friendly people-to-people contacts will pave the way for prosperity and mutually beneficial cooperation.
So well said. Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to thank you for giving me this chance to be here with you and at least make some of all this technical stuff known.
Yes. We need some clarifications, and that's good that we summarized them within this short interview. At least we introduced the program.
Yes, it's an introduction.
Details will follow.
Yes.